Okay, so some might feel a way about leaving people to Jesus. They like, oh, I couldn't possibly leave them. They're so hurt. They're struggling. They need me so much. I want you to take a look at the situation. Has all your help and well-doing helped that individual become more independent, more self-sufficient? Help them come out of the darkness they're in and into the light beyond you? That don't mean when you're there. When you're there, you laugh, you have a good time. It's great because you're the light. But what happened when you walk out the door? Is your interaction with them, all that you're doing for them, helping them to move forward and progress in life towards their goals, to getting closer to God, to being whatever God wants them to become? See, it's one thing to have influence over someone and can see fruit of that influence. In those situations, we can see that there's purpose for you in someone's life, because I believe what the Lord does is he will bring people a model, because he wants people to be able to see what it looks like to be this way, to move in this capacity. So for someone who's in a dark place, he will bring someone around that's in a place of light, so they can shed that light on him, so that they can show him there's an alternative, that this isn't just the way how life is, this is the way how life is for you, and there's another option. I believe that when he's walking you into spiritual giftings, he'll expose you to people who have that spiritual gifting at times, if that's how he chooses to do, so that you can see it in action. Sometimes you find yourself admiring somebody that's bold, courageous, and fearless, and you're like, man, I wish I was that way. And what you don't realize is the Lord placed that person in your path so you can see what it looks like for somebody to be that way, because he wants you to start walking in that as well. That boldness, that fearlessness, that courage. Yeah, there are certain assignments that people have, right? He's assigned you to be a teacher. Maybe you have the mantle of education, maybe pastor, a teacher, and he will expose you to someone of that nature who's performing in that role, so you can see it, right? It's not just so that you can be groomed by them and taught by them, but you need to see it in action. I get that. When I tell you to leave people to Jesus, what I'm telling you is that when you see that you are ineffective at moving somebody out of the station they're in, you have to see how irresponsible it is for you to stay in that situation as is. Because what's happening is now this person is clinging to you. Now this person has found light in you. They have found peace and rest and comfort and all of these things in you. So because they feel like they have found something that they need, they're content, and it doesn't create the lack, the void, the longing to seek something else that will help to pull them out of the situation that they're in and walk them into the situation that they are supposed to go into. People know someone like that. That's just like, this is just the way they are. They just fell out and laid out on the ground and they content with staying there. Why would you go lay there with them and just stay there with them? The goal is for them to get better, for them to stand on their feet. And if you don't see that they're making any sort of forward movement, any sort of effort, anything to stand up, then what you don't realize is that's a perfect place then for the Lord to be able to move. That's not a job for you. That's a job for the Lord. That's something that the Lord needs to do. So let them stay down there long enough. I bet you they'll start calling out for Jesus, and Jesus can make them well. Now, that doesn't mean you abandon people. That's not what I'm telling you to do. I'm not telling you to abandon people. Actually, what the goal is for you to bring that person before the Lord so he can give you specific strategy for you to be able to learn how to partner with God to be able to help them walk into all that he desires that person to become. In situations in my life, he's placed boundaries. He's been like, timed phone calls, get in, get out, 30 minutes. Timed visits, 1 hour, set your timer. Okay, this time, spend as much time as you want. Okay, once a week is good enough. Okay, you don't answer the phone every single time that individual calls. If you're in the middle of something, don't drop everything that you're doing. Let them leave a text, let them leave a voicemail, and you'll get to them when you have time. This creates space, so it lets an individual know that you're available, but you also are not at their disposal. You also are not at their beck and call. You also cannot be their everything. You are not available 24/7, but there's someone that is. You leave them room to be able to seek something else outside of you, right? We think longing and desperation is such a bad thing, but we don't realize longing and desperation causes you to search. It causes you to start looking for a way to fill it, right? You start getting out there, you start seeking. And if you desire to fill that void for them, what you don't realize is the Lord created that longing and desperation for them so that they would seek him, but you're getting in the way and you're constantly there. So now instead of seeking God, they're seeking you. That's why I said when somebody shows you that they want someone to be their everything, be available 24/7, yeah, meet all of their needs, you got to automatically see that and be like, oh, they need Jesus. That's not a human assignment. That's a God assignment. That's God. There are certain situations that cause for a specific strategy, and they all do. But certain situations cause for different strategies. You got to go to the Lord to figure out what that is. When you're in a season, though, of like breaking through cycles and being on your grind and moving in purpose with the Lord and seeking everything that the Lord has and surrendering to him and like losing your life to him, you don't realize how much demand that is. It requires all of you. It requires all. People in your life have to take a back seat, and God wants it to be that way because he wants to be first. He wants to be priority. And you can't let your feelings that are fickle, that are changing, hinder you or stop you from seeking everything the Lord has. Leave people to Jesus, and you will create room and inspire them so that they can find Jesus for themselves, and Jesus can begin going to work on their hearts, on their souls, and in their lives. And that's how you'll really help them. Leaving people to Jesus sounds harsh, but look who you're leaving them with. Jesus. He's got them.